guys. How are you?
Hi.
Nice seeing you.
How we feeling today?
I feel good, but I'm not taking anything for granted. I was at the Bloomfield train station this morning, and we'll keep going around today trying to get every last vote.
Congresswoman, how'd you spend the weekend trying to get out the vote, trying to reach every last voter that you could?
We did rallies. I went all over the state, spoke to as many people as possible at meet and greets and rallies and coffee shops and business walks, just to make sure I'm in front of as many people as possible to both hear from them and then to talk about the vision I have for New Jersey about driving costs down and making sure we're protecting from the attacks coming from Washington.
We heard from voters, Congresswoman, yesterday, drawing a lot of parallels between what's happening in Los Angeles and what happened in Newark and other sanctuary cities in New Jersey. What is your response to how Gavin Newsom is handling this, the lawsuit he's filed against the administration, and what would you do if this was a situation when you were governor?
Yeah, you know, I have been a Navy helicopter pilot. I served for almost 10 years. I've also worked as a federal prosecutor working with law enforcement. And so I can tell you, while, you know, we see that violence is never acceptable, our police officers can handle that. They are trained in doing just that in public safety. And our military members are trained in something very, very different. They are trained in combat. And so I think it's a dangerous situation to put military on the streets of this country trained in combat as opposed to the police officers who know how to handle this. If a governor feels that that is not the case, that governor can always go to the federal government to ask for support. That is not the case here. Governor Newsom surged law enforcement in, and what Trump seems to be doing is trying to add fuel to the fire and really make a situation violent and bad, and I just think that's completely unacceptable.
President
is there
Trump.
anything that you would have done differently than Governor Newsom if you were governor?
You know, I have been speaking out strongly. I think given my background in both the military and working with law enforcement, I think that understanding is really important. I'm not sure your average person on the street understands the very different training that goes on between law enforcement and military members. I've also worked for many years to make the Insurrection Act, which the president's drawing upon, more clear. It's somewhat vague, so I've worked with constitutional scholars to make it more clear, and I'm continuing to push for that, and we'll have introduced my bill again in the National Defense Authorization Act, and then as governor really standing up strongly in favor of keeping people here in the state safe and safety on the streets, and at the same time speaking out against a president who is trying to create violence in the country.
President Trump.
Position best to take on Trump?
You know, I think after a long history of effectiveness and really not accepting the status quo, being willing to take on really tough challenges, which is what I've done really for as long as I can remember, I think that's the type of time we are in right now. We need somebody who is not going to be a status quo candidate, but rather a change candidate, somebody who is going to take on Trenton and Washington, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
President Trump has said it would be a great thing if Governor Newsom were arrested. Does that concern you?
Yes, that's ridiculous. I mean, it should concern everyone.
And how should Democrats navigate this moment? Because there is a belief among some voters that Democrats are not doing enough when it comes to enforcing immigration laws. So how do you think Democrats should navigate all this?
You know, I think we should navigate it by making sure that we have strong public safety, ensuring there's no violence on the streets, that people are protected, and at the same time always following the law and the Constitution. And that's the law of the land, keeping our streets safe, but following the Constitution as well, as we always do here in New Jersey. That's how Democrats should handle it.
One more question.
Congresswoman, I spoke with a local here in New Jersey who compared this gubernatorial race to the Kentucky Derby this morning. Said, I hope everybody gets out of the gate clean. There's 11 candidates. What do you say to her and those who are undecided right now?
You know, I think I have been continuing to lay out my case of both driving down costs for families in New Jersey. We have built this campaign by speaking to as many people as possible about those kitchen table issues or that last issue, keeping people up at night. And that's why I'm constantly talking about driving down housing costs, utility costs, fixing our broken healthcare system. But at the same time, I'm also hearing from people about their concerns about this chaotic administration that is attacking both rights and freedoms and the economy of New Jersey and driving up costs.